Morning, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving here in the United States. Thank you for joining us for this morning's workout. Hope everyone's doing well. Today we're going to need one single stick, one long 6-foot stick. As always, have a chair available because we are going to do a seated drill today. A pad for your knee because we may be in that half kneeling position. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started and let's get warmed up. As you know, I like to get those feet warmed up, so let's start there. Let's take a nice wide base with your feet. We're going to get into that horse stance. We're going to place the stick at 12 o'clock. Remember, horse stance, take a wide base, drop your butt about 2 to 3 inches towards the floor. Make sure that your head is stacked over your shoulders and your shoulders are stacked over your hips. So this is not a horse stance and this is not a horse stance. Make sure your hips are underneath your torso. Place the stick at 12 o'clock, bottom of the stick slightly angled towards you, hands chest level. Push the stick into the floor at about 40% tension. Let's get that deep front line activated. Do not change the elevation of the head, but bring your heels up so that your toes are in extension. When you bring those toes up into extension, you may find that you actually ease off that tension into the stick. Slowly bring your heels back down. Remember, just like you're coming down on eggshells and you don't want to break them. Let's go back up. When you're at the top, try to get those toes into as much extension as they like, all right, or they're comfortable with. Down slow. Let's go 2 more reps. Rep number 3, back up. When you're at the top, also try to figure out where am I distributing the weight on my feet. Is it at the center, or am I collapsing in or rolling out too far? Back down. We got 1 more rep. Here we go. Back up. Hold that position. And now here comes our fun part. Hover that stick and keep those toes in extension. Hold that structure. Try not to fall out of that horse stance. Stick down and bring the heels down. Nicely done. Okay, now let's get those hips moving. Take a wide base with the feet. Let's place that stick inside the right instep. Keep that right arm at 3 o'clock. Hand is just about top of the head level. We're going to push that stick into the floor at about 40% tension. Feel the right lateral tissues. And now with that left hand, reach out to the 9 o'clock position. Shift your weight onto your left leg. We're driving that stick into the floor. Come back. Let's go again. Reach. Shift that weight to that left leg. Come back. 2 more. Ready? Reach. 1 more. 1 more. Ready? Reach. Exhale as you reach. Come back. Now let's switch sides. Place the stick against the left instep. Left arm stays at 9 o'clock. Hand is just about top of the head level. Push that stick into the floor. 40% tension. Feel that left lat engage. Right hand, reach out and shift weight to the left leg, or right leg, and reaching for the 3. Come back, and again. Reach. Exhale as you reach. Come back. 2 more. Ready? Here we go. Reach. Exhale. Come back. 1 more. Ready? And come back. Good. Okay. Let's get those hips moving on that sagittal plane. Back to that horse position. Stick at 12 o'clock. Remember, butt down about 2 to 3 inches. Pelvis is underneath you. Put your left hand on top. If you're right-handed, you're going to always put that right hand on top unless you get cued otherwise. So let's get more enforcement out of that left lat. Push the stick into the floor at about 50% tension. Inhale and go anterior pelvic tilt, which means we're just pushing the butt backwards. Exhale and pull the pelvis underneath you. Push that forward. So you're trying to pull the belly button to the sternum. Inhale, push the pelvis back. Exhale, drive that pelvis underneath you. 3 more reps. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. And relax. Okay. Now, let's open up the anterior tissue line with a standing back bend. Place the stick into the base of the wall behind you, so that way the stick is not going to possibly shoot out from underneath you, especially when you're in that back bend position. We're going to place the stick so it's on your back, the back of the right shoulder. Place your hands on top of the stick. Squeeze your glutes. Remember, we need to tuck that pelvis so that we stay out of the lumbar spine. Ready? Tuck the pelvis, squeeze the glutes. Start to let your head go back and walk down the stick a little bit. You're going to feel that anterior line opening up. Try to keep your legs relatively straight. And now push the stick into the floor when you're in that back bend. You're going to feel that posterior chain recruit even more and come back out of it. Let's go one more rep, and then we're going to switch to the other shoulder, because when the stick is on one side, you're going to have a slight bit of rotation involved. Ready? Squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis, let your head go back, and now push the stick into the floor to recruit more of that posterior chain and come back up. And now let's just shift to the other side. So now the stick is on the back of the left shoulder. Same thing, 2 reps. Ready? Squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis, let your head go back. When you're at your end range, push the stick into the floor and then walk yourself back up. Remember, when you come back up, try to use your anterior tissues to pull yourself back out of the hole. Ready? Squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis, let your head go back. Last rep of these. Try to keep the legs relatively straight. Push the stick into the floor. And now use your anterior tissues to pull yourself back out of that back bend. Excellent. Okay, now let's get into that world's greatest. We're going to get the hips opened up and a little bit of thoracic rotation involved here. Take a nice wide split with your feet. So right here I have my left leg back, my right leg is forward. I'm going to place the stick right in next to my right instep, and then I'm going to move it away about 1.5 to 2 feet. Left hand goes on top. Flex your right elbow. And now what you're going to do is sink into your hips and drive that right elbow down towards the floor. Don't let your left hand slide though, because you're going to feel that stretch all the way through the left pec and into the ribs. You're sinking into your hips. So I'm trying to really sit into this front hip. Come back up. And let's go 2 more reps. Ready? If you need to bring your hand down a little bit lower, then go ahead. If your shoulder's saying, I don't really like that much length to it, adjust your grip where you need it to be adjusted, because remember, we don't want to be in pain when we go into this position. Okay, ready? Push the stick into the floor with the left hand, about 40% tension, and now sink down into your hip and try to drive that right elbow straight down towards the floor. That back leg needs to be nice and straight. Come back up. You can actually see that we're working on dorsiflexion of that lead ankle also, not just the hips. Ready? 1 more. Push the stick into the floor about 40%. Sink that right elbow down towards the floor. Lengthen that left leg. Split those hips. And come back up. Awesome. Let's switch sides. Nice big split in the feet. Place that stick right next to your left instep and then move it about 1.5 to 2 feet out. Right hand approximately right at the same place that you had your left hand. Left elbow flexed. Push the stick into the floor with the right hand at 40%. And now let's sink into that hip. Drive that left elbow down. You're splitting those hips. So you're trying to push that left hip forward, right hip back. Come back up. 2 more reps. Ready? Push and sink. Come back up. 1 more. Ready? Push the stick into the floor 40% and sink.
trying to drive the hips apart and drive that left elbow down. And come back up.
Excellent. Okay, take a little breather. All right. Next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of rotation. Grab that stick, place it across, right at the sternum parallel to the floor. Okay? Set your feet. Go back in that horse stance, wide base. We're going to disassociate or separate the lumbar spine from the hips and also the C-spine or your neck from your T-spine. So your hips and your head do not move. So get a point, lock in your eyes on a point straight in front of you, and as we rotate, your glutes are actually going to activate so that your hips don't turn. They are actually going to be your braking system right now. All right, here we go. Arms are straight, no flexion in the elbows. Take the stick and move the stick to your left. So you're going to rotate to the left. Squeeze those glutes so the hips don't turn, and you should be looking straight ahead. Breathe. Your right hand, push a little bit harder to actually drive you into more rotation. And now we're going to go to the right. Moving the stick to the right. And now the same thing's taking place. Squeeze the glutes so the hips don't turn. Look straight ahead. Push a little bit harder with the left hand. Now let's go back to the other side. Going to the left, turn. With that right hand, push back a little bit harder. Back to the right. As you turn, take that left hand and push back a little bit harder. Good, come back to center. Okay, so that was shortening the stick when I said push and you felt that anterior arm line. Now let's do the opposite. We're going to pull apart on the stick. Same exact movement though. Ready? Pull apart on the stick and rotate to the left. So now you should have your posterior arm line. You should feel like your left hand is pulling a little bit harder than your right. Come back to the right. And now it switches. Now you should feel your right posterior arm line working a little bit harder than the left. One more to each side. Left and right. Come back to center and relax. Take a few seconds. All right. Let's grab that pad. We're going to get some kayaking in, but we're going to work some hip stability simultaneously. Okay, so let's go half kneeling position, right knee down. Make sure that your right hip is not externally rotated. So if someone's looking straight ahead at you, they should not see your right foot. It should be hidden behind your right thigh or quad area. Make sure the pelvis stays underneath you, so don't let your hips shoot out from behind you or roll in front of you into too much extension. Stick is across the sternum, parallel to the floor, elbows in full extension. So that way we negate your elbows becoming your scapula if you don't have access to that movement. Looking straight down river, begin your kayaking movement. You should feel your anterior arm line shortening the stick reflexively, because your anterior arm line is what's driving this movement. You should feel your shoulder blades gliding along your rib cage. All the necessary movements. Protraction, retraction, upward and downward rotation. Breathe. And now reverse. Remember, it's a backstroke. Watch your speed. Don't go too fast, especially if you have issues or some problems coordinating this movement. Remember, we don't learn things fast. We want to set that pattern in a slow movement or slow speed. And relax. Let's switch legs. Left knee down, right leg in front. Remember, make sure the lower leg bone is in line with the upper leg bone. One hip may not be as stable as the other, so don't be surprised if this happens to you. Okay, ready? Remember, back toes in the floor also, so your toes should be an extension on the left foot. Looking down river and begin kayaking. Remember, elbows stay straight. Breathe. Full inhale, full exhale. And now reverse. Backstroke. Breathe. Feel that posterior arm line, pulling that stick apart. And relax. Excellent. Let's put that pad on back. All right, now let's go into the door frame. We're gonna get some squatting in. Let's get those legs energized. But we're gonna add a back bend to the top of the Dunphy squat this morning. So that way, it's gonna be the same motion that I would generate if I was coming out of the hole and I was trying to drive my hips into extension to maybe throw something over my head. So that's way, as we squat, when we come to the top, we're gonna squeeze the glutes, we're gonna tuck the pelvis, and we're just gonna finish off the top at that standing back bend position. All right? Okay, ready? Place the stick at the top of the door jamb. Set your feet where you feel comfortable squatting. All right? Find your belly button. Place both hands below the belly button. Remember, the stick stays at 12 o'clock. Ready? Push the stick up into the door jamb at about 50 to 60% tension, and now squat. Stick stays at 12. Squeeze those elbows in. The entire foot is in contact with the floor, so no toes lifting off the ground. Squeeze those elbows in to get that thoracic spine nice and tall. Now start to stand up. We keep pushing. Squeeze the glutes at the top, posterior pelvic tilt, and lean back. Come back to center and ease off. As you went into that back bend, you should have felt that you actually naturally push harder up into the door jamb. Let's go 3 more reps of those. Alrighty? Here we go. Push. Let's go 60 to 70% this time. Drop down. Squeeze those elbows in. Sit right nice and deep into that squat. We're going to stay here for a few seconds. Let the body know that it's okay to be here. Really exhale as hard as you can, as much CO2 out as you can. And the more that you exhale, the more stability you bring to the spine, the farther you'll sink into that squat. Come back up, keep pushing, squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis, and drive back into that back bend. Come back up. So your hands, you should actually feel the hands as you tuck that pelvis and drive forward and actually make contact with your lower abdominal cylinder. Okay, now let's switch hand position. Ready? Push. Let's go 70 to 80% this time. And squat. Elbows in. Breathe. Exhale as much as you can. Feel all those spinal muscles as you exhale, contract even harder. Come back up. Squeeze that glute, tuck that pelvis. And relax. One last rep. Here we go. 80 to 90%. Or remember, that's your 80 to 90%. So listen to what your body's telling you. If it's a little too much tension, a little too much drive, then back it off a little bit, all right? Here we go. Ready? Push. And drop. Exhale as you drop. Squeeze those elbows in. Get nice and tall through the spine. Really sink into those hips. Come back up. Squeeze the glute. Tuck the pelvis. Go into that back bend, driving that stick up. And come back. Whew. Take a little breather. That'll get you going first thing in the morning. Whew. Okay. Let's do some lunging. I can hear the cheers out there right now as I said that. Okay, we're gonna start with the left knee down. My wife is behind the camera. She's not looking very happy at me right now. So, half kneeling position. Remember, lower leg bone is in line with the upper leg bone. Place the stick at 12 o'clock. Remember, this lunge here, we're really driving off the back foot. We're not shifting weights, and the hip needs to stay under the torso. So when you come up, if you feel that you can't keep that hip underneath you, then just keep driving the back foot harder into the floor. You're going to connect neurologically with the same tissues that you're going to need. They just don't have the overall strength to actually execute the whole hover, and that's fine. You isometrically just need to keep getting stronger, and then one day, all of a sudden, boom, you'll have that strength factor increase where you'll actually be able to do it. So remember, stay within your scope of what you have accessible to you. Stick is a 12. Stack the hands about chest level. Bottom of the stick is slightly angled towards you. Push the stick into the floor, about 50% tension. Push. Build to 60. Build to 70. You should feel this deep front line, lats engaging, and now hover. Just lift that back knee, barely off the floor. Just enough for me to put some paper under there. Remember that pelvis is underneath you. And relax, okay? So remember, we're not looking for overextension also, right? So that pelvis stays right under the torso. We got 2 more reps of this. Here we go, ready? Push, give me 70%. Breathe, build to 80. Try to put a hole in that floor. And now hover. Breathe. And relax. Okay, 1 more rep. Here we go, ready? Push, give me that 70%. Build to 80. And now hover. And relax. Nice. Let's switch sides. So I'll switch my position here so you can see my right hip. Stick is at 12 o'clock. I'm going to put my right hand on top this time. Stick is slightly angled in towards me at the bottom. Hands are chest level, shoulder level. Drive that stick into the floor. 50% to start with. Build to 60. Build to 70. And now hover. Just 1 inch or barely off the floor. And relax. Remember what I just said a few seconds ago. If once you initiate that back foot, you're going to feel this tissue line right here. Even if you don't have the strength to actually hover, you're still building that neuromuscular control or pattern that we're looking for. Ready? Rep 2. Give me 80%. Push. Ready? And hover. And relax. 1 more rep. Here we go. Ready? Give me 80%. Push. And hover. And relax. Beautiful. All right, take yourself a rest. Whew. That'll get you going first thing in the morning. All right. Now, let's do a little side bending. Let's open up some lateral tissues. And we're also going to address the shoulders and chest here also, okay? So we're going to do a little stick-assisted bent pressing or bent press position. Square up to the camera, and now take both feet and rotate, turn them to the left about 45 degrees. But you are still facing forward, okay? So you automatically feel how we brought the hips into rotation. Place the stick against the left instep, okay? Take the right hand, reach over the top and grab the stick. Take that left hand and thread it between the stick and your torso. So the stick is going to be resting against the left shoulder blade. Place the left hand on the stick. And now what we're going to do here, open up the palm on that right hand. So we're not grabbing the stick, we're open palming it, okay? And now push your hip out to 9 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, sorry. I'm driving this glute out to the 3 or 4 position, and I'm sliding my left hand down towards the floor, and you can see how I'm lengthening my right arm. Here's the weird part for people that aren't used to this. Keep your weight centered on your feet. People are going to tend to want to rock back onto that right foot. We want to keep equal weight distribution between both feet. Now that you're at this end range position, push into the stick with both hands. So the right palm is on the back of the stick pushing forward, and the left palm is on the front of the stick pushing back. And push. About 40% tension. You're going to feel posterior arm line on the left side, anterior on the right. Ease off tension. Try to slide down a little bit more. As you slide down more, your top hand can slide down also. Okay, ready? And again, push. Pushing that right hand against the stick going forward, and the left hand pushing back against the stick going backwards towards your instep. Ease off. Let's go one more. Ready? Exhale and push. And ease off. And now just simply stand up. Let's switch sides. Remember, square yourself up. Take both feet. Turn them to the right, about 45-degree angle. Okay? Place that stick against the right instep. Left hand over the top. Take that right hand, thread it between the stick and your body. Should be sitting right against the right shoulder blade. Take that right hand, slide it down the stick as you simultaneously push your left hip out to the 9 and the 8. Between the 9 and the 8, and slide down. So the left arm is nice and straight, so is the right arm. When you get to your end range, just stay there. Remember, both palms are open palm. And now push into the stick. So the left hand is pushing forward. The right hand is driving back behind me. Breathe. Remember, keep your weight centered on your feet. Do not rock or shift too much weight to one foot or the other. Ease off. If you can reach a little bit further, slide down a little bit further. Okay, ready? And again, push. Ease off. One more. Ready? Push. And ease off. And just simply stand up. Okay, take a rest. We're going to go through that again. We're going to change it up slightly. What we're going to change up is the actual hand motion as far as force being applied. So what you just did, you should have felt some rotation taking place as we're pushing and pulling. Now what we're going to do is lengthen the stick so we get more of that upward pressing of that top arm. All right? Okay, square your hips up. Turn both feet to the left about 45 degrees. Take that stick, place it against the left instep. Right hand on top. Take that left hand, thread it between the body and your torso, or in the stick. Stick is laying against the left scapula. Reach down, drive the hip out to the 3. Keep your weight centered. Slide down as far as you can. Now we're going to grab the stick. So both hands, we're not open palm anymore. Now both hands are firmly gripping the stick, and now lengthen, pull apart on the stick. So the left hand is pushing straight down into the floor, and the right hand is pressing up to the ceiling. Breathe. Ease off. You should feel that slight difference between the two movements. Ready? Here we go. Ready? And pull. Lengthen that stick. Ease off. Ready? One more. Ready? Pull.
lengthen that stick. And relax, and now simply stand up. Okay, let's switch to the other side. Square your hips up, both feet rotate about 45 degrees, stick against the right instep, left hand over the top, thread that right hand between the stick and your torso, and now slide down the stick, pushing your hip out towards that 9 or 8 position. Keep your weight centered on both feet. Grab the stick with both hands and now pull. Lengthen that stick. The right hand is driving down towards the floor. The left hand is driving up towards the ceiling. Ease off tension. Okay, ready? And again, pull. And relax. Ready? And pull. And don't be surprised if you don't feel that you can pull as hard with one direction as we did the opposite. And relax and simply stand on up. Remember, the vast majority of us have those imbalances. So when we go from one side to the other, you have to kind of expect that you're not going to be as efficient or strong in one direction or one side as the opposite. All right? Okay, so now let's grab your seat. And plop yourself straight on down there. Okay, we're going to go into a little bit of a modified snake reach to get the QL. Okay, so right here, we're going to set the stick right inside the left instep. Okay. So we have a seat here so we can lock the hips into place. Remember, just like a rubber band, if we want to stretch the rubber band, we have to lock one side down to get that elastic quality to kick in. If we don't, then we just look like an idiot trying to move a rubber band that's going with us. All right. So place that stick against the left instep, right hand over the top with the palm facing forward. Take that left hand, thread it between the body and torso, or the stick, sorry. Okay, grab the stick at the bottom. Now what we're going to do here, so we're hitting this right side. Take your stick with the bottom hand and move it over to the 3. So the stick, do you see how that went behind my right calf or my right ankle? So I'm leaning. So you can feel this. You should be feeling this right through the lower right torso. And try to push down on that left hand. So the left hand is actively trying to reach for the floor. And as you do that, you should feel your left shoulder trying to drop down more. And if that takes place, we have to open up this side to allow that. Where one angle decreases, the opposing angle increases. Okay, ease off, slide the stick back. Okay, ready? We're going to do 2 more of these. Again, take that left hand, move the bottom of the stick over to your 3. Maybe you sink into it a little bit farther this time. Okay, take that left hand and actively push the stick into the floor. Now take that right thumb. And so you have a false grip, and now try to reach that hand around the stick. And that's really going to engage more of that right lateral tissue into the ribs. You may feel a little bit more pull down into the hip. Ease off the right hand, and now slide back. All right, one more. Here's the hat trick. Ready? Here we go. Take that left hand, move the stick. My wife is not happy right now. Okay, take that left hand, push the stick into the floor. You have that false grip on that right hand. Reach around the stick. Breathe. Remember, you're trying to add leverage. You feel that tension being driven into that stick with that right hand when you try to wrap it around. You're driving that left hand into the floor. Ease off. And now bring it back and relax. Whew, that was fun. Now let's do the other side. Okay, Place that stick against the right adductor. Left hand over the top. First rep, remember first rep, we keep the grip closed. Take that right hand, thread it between the torso and the stick so that the stick is sitting against the right scapula. Grab the stick with the right hand, and now take that stick and move it to 9. So the stick should be behind the left ankle, left calf. Once the stick is on the floor, actively push the stick into the ground. So that right hand is actively reaching for the ground, and you're going to feel that reciprocates into the left lateral tissue line. Breathe. Ease off. Okay, so now we go with that false grip, so that thumb is going to come back on the same side as the fingers. All right, here we go. Ready? Move the stick to 9 o'clock. Once it's at your end range, place it on the floor. Actively push that right hand towards the floor. Reach around the stick with that left hand. One side is not going to be as receptive to this as the other. Breathe. For me, it's my left side. Ease off. Whew. One more. Here we go. Ready? Take that stick, move it over to the 9. Push the stick down into the floor with the right hand and try to reach that left hand up and around the stick. Just like a snake going up a tree. And relax. So, also don't think that you're doing something wrong if you feel the stretch factor in different locations on each side. That's going to happen based off of your life history, injury history, movement history, yada, yada, yada. Okay? So for me, when I go to this side, I feel it way more down here in the QL, lateral lower tissue line. When I go the opposite direction, I feel it much more up here in this area. And that's based off of my injury history on my left arm. So once again, don't think that you're doing something wrong. Where your issue or where your deficiencies are, or tissues that are tight and not used to being lengthened, those are just going to come forward. That's simply all that's happening. All right? Okay, come on up. Let's put that chair back. Okay. Let's grab your pad for your knee. Half kneeling position. Let's open up this front. Remember, you're going to be sitting, eating turkey today and hanging out with your friends, or I should say family, sorry. Small households, remember, COVID. So let's go half kneeling position. Remember, lower leg bone is in line with the upper leg bone. Back ankle is extended, so we want the top of the foot on the floor. We're going to take that stick, we're going to move it in front of us, but place it directly in line with the left quad. And the bottom of the stick, here's one of the exceptions, where the bottom of the stick is angled away from us. Take the top of the stick and move it towards us. Reach up with that left hand. Right away, you can feel that length. Try to get as long as you can without having to go into the lumbar spine. So we're going to then contract the tissues here so that we can get strong in this lengthened state. Grab the stick with your right hand about sternum level. Push the stick into the floor with the left hand straight down at that angle. Feel that left lat, scapula, and serratus driving down. And now take the top of the left foot and push it down into the ground and give me a posterior pelvic tuck so that you feel everything down through the left side. And now with the right hand, shorten the stick, and that amplifies and intensifies all the way through that front of the left hip. Ease off. If you need to, you can shift weight forward just a little bit, but remember, we're not shearing the spine, so stay out of that lumbar spine. Ready? Again, push the stick down into the floor about 40%. Push the top of the left foot down into the floor at 40%. And now shorten the stick. Push up with that right hand. Squeeze that left glute. Give me a posterior pelvic tuck. And relax. Okay, let's switch sides. Right side is down, back ankle extended. Place the stick so it's directly in front of the right quad. Bottom of the stick is far out away from us. Bring the top of the stick in. Reach up with the right hand. Try to get as much length as you can without arching the back. Take the left hand, reach across sternum level. Push the stick into the floor with that right hand about 30 to 40% tension. Push the top of that right foot down into the floor. Squeeze that right glute. Give me a posterior pelvic tilt. So the bottom of the hip is going forward and the top of the hip is rolling back. And now push up with that left hand. Shorten that stick. Breathe. Ease off. If you need to, shift weight forward. But once again, do not excessively get into that lumbar spine. Ready? Again, push the stick into the floor 40%. Push the top of the right foot down. Squeeze that right glute. Give me a posterior pelvic tilt. Feel that all the way through the front of the right side, especially at the hip. And now push up with the left hand. So we're shortening that stick with the hands. You'll feel that reciprocate all and affect that front of the right hip. And relax. All righty. And now let's finish with our signature bow and arrow to open up those lateral tissue lines. Take your feet about shoulder width apart. Place your stick at 3 o'clock, about 6 inches away from your midfoot. Right hand is right above where the sticker is. Right elbow, you want it about 90 degrees. Keep those hips square, no turning the hips. Left hand over the top, grab the stick. Push your hip out to 9 o'clock first, and now drive the stick away to your 3. Let your head tilt and breathe. Keep your legs straight. So we're not shifting weight, we're not bending the right knee. If we bend the right knee, we tend to lean on the stick. That's why the legs need to stay straight. Ease off. So now rotate the stick slightly so you're not flexing in the same direction all the time. That way your stick will last a little bit longer. If you have access to the lateral line mobility, bring that stick in closer to you to give you what you need. Here I'll show you a demonstration of how I'll move my stick inside my instep. Same rules apply though. Ready? Here we go. Push your hip out to 9 first, and now drive the stick away from you. So as long as you push the hip away with the right intention, you're never going to add too much flex into the stick. And relax. Rotate the stick slightly again. Let's go one more rep. Here we go. Push your hip out to 9 first, and now drive the stick away to 3. Remember that top arm stays straight, so no flexing that top arm. And relax. Good. Switch to the other side. I'll do my first rep in the standard position, and then I'll bring my stick in for the progressed rep for the last 2. Okay? Stick is at 9 o'clock, about 8 inches away from the midfoot. Left elbow is about 90 degrees. Reach over the top with the right hand. Push your hip out to 3 first, and then drive the stick away to your 9. Legs stay straight. Breathe. Ease off tension. Now if you can, bring the stick in closer to you, towards your center. Once again, push your hip out to 3 first, and then drive the stick away to 9. Let your head tilt. That's part of your lateral line. Keep your legs straight. Top arm stays straight. Ease off. Rotate the stick slightly. Last rep. Here we go, and then we're done. Push your hip out to 3, then drive the stick away to 9. Breathe. Ease off. And relax. Whew. That was great today, everybody. Thank you very much. As always, for us here in the U.S., we're celebrating Thanksgiving. we're very thankful for everyone out there that has supported us and what our mission statement is, and that's simply movement made better. No matter what you like to do, our goal is to help you keep doing it and for you to get out of bed every morning and feel good, feel awesome, and be able to attack life. So until Tuesday, where you'll see Coach Jared, everybody enjoy today, or actually, I apologize, Saturday, Coach Ray, I apologize, sorry Ray. So until Saturday, join us again. Be thankful for everything you have today, and until next session, be good to each other.